Welcome back to the Inbound YouTube channel. My name is Newman. I am going to be your guide for one of the most subject tutorial videos that you will ever see this year, which is how to optimize your Google Business Profile. You might ask, why do I get to tell you what to do? Well, if you don't already know me, you can look up InboundREM, you can look up real estate marketing company, and you will likely find me. You can look up real estate SEO marketing company. I rank for all those searches, and if you're in Los Angeles, I definitely rank for those searches. You'll find that I beat Ylopo, I beat Luxury Presence, I beat Agent Image, and these are companies that are 20 to 30 times my size with massive budgets. So I also have done the same thing for no less than 50 to 100 realtors, getting them #1 and #2 for searches like best realtor in, city name, realtors near me, realtor, and like broadly. And currently my best client is ranking within 40 miles of his location in South Houston. So this would be a major metro area. That's 40 miles. You do the search realtor, you get his name first. Now, if you are interested in this result, then this is the video for you, because I am no longer going to obscure anything. I'm going to go through and add my 10 cents to what you would. So if you go and Google how to optimize a profile, you get Google's recommendations. And I am going to tell you, I'm going to run through those recommendations, and I'm going to explain to you what I've seen to be true and what I have not seen to be true. And I'm going to explain to you in each and every individual category what I have found to be the best case scenario. You will see me referencing my phone from here to there so that I can see the questions that Google is asking the audience at large. So the first thing that has to happen when you are setting up a Google Business Profile is you can just Google setting up a Google Business Profile, and you'll get a link to that will open up a profile page, and it'll ask you questions, what kind of business you're in, so on and so forth. So the first question that you're probably going to get is there's going to be a whole bunch of guided sections when you start out. Now, guided sections include your location, your name, your business name, how long have you been in business, what are your hours. Google's recommendation is filling out every single section in complete detail. And Google will send you these messages that says your profile is 98% complete, it's whatever complete. And some of the times the lack of completion is stuff that's a little hard for you to understand why you should do, such as frequently asked questions. Here is my experience. This completeness of profile filling out is absolutely positively a ranking factor. One of the things that we do as a company that does this kind of work as a service is we go in and we open up a realtor's profile, and we find that I think it's about 85% are incomplete. So #1, fill out every single section, whether you think it's relevant or not, and give your best answer. Now, I'm going to go through them and hopefully help you come up with all the answers that you may theoretically need. So, first of all is going to be, just something for all of you to understand. In Google's own search engine, they say Google rewards complete profiles. So I'm not guessing here, and that matches my experience. Complete profiles, absolutely. Let's put a number to it. Probably a 5 or 10% ranking boost by completing everything. All right. #2, select the best categories. Now, this is the most critical ranking factor according to Google. Okay, these categories, all right, is the most complete categories, or the most accurate categories. Now, when describing your business, whether you are a real estate broker or a real estate agent, the problem with the profile is they say, what's your profession? And they limit your options. So what you do is there's a big broad category called real estate, and you definitely fill that out. Now, where you get specific about what you do is there's another part of the profile that allows 750 words. And then there's yet another part of the profile that's way, 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 way deep into it that is going to allow you to type in additional services that you offer. Here's the problem with that additional services thing. some of the time the category is there. But if you get super, super specific, like I specialize in selling log cabins, you won't be able to add that category. You might be able to add the category I sell land. You might be able to add the category of, you might be able to add a few categories, but you will not be able to add with a high degree of hyperspecificity. So how do you get around that? You actually spend some time in where it's called a detailed business description. It's a 750-word field is what you have. And you do, when you're describing your business, there's 3 segments in those, which is somewhere down here, like description. Categories is what I'm covering, and now description. When you describe your business, just for categories, business. I'll get over to this because it should be down here somewhere under SEO. It's really optimized for relevance. But we're going to do categories and description. All right, so categories I've already explained. Categories is actually really frustrating. And I've already given you the reasons why. But you do the best you can, and I know for a fact that you can do the categoric real estate thing. Description. So the description is what we're talking about now. And what you want to do is you want to do 3 things. You want to break out your description, if you can, and do about 210, 225, 250 words per section. And you want to do the following 3 things. Who, what, and you are could be a mission statement. It could be a description of who you are. Hello, I'm Shelley Long. I've sold real estate for 20 or 30 years. I'm a 3rd-generation realtor. My favorite thing about the business is honestly just getting to work in Ukaipa, which is an area that I love. Okay, that's like a brief description. But then you want to get into whatever your unique value proposition is, because the length of time that you've been a real estate agent shows nothing about the service that you're going to provide. So you want to spend another 250 words explaining, it could be a number of different things, but it could be, for instance, when you're talking about your business, do you have a set of services that you feel are either extraordinary, unusual, or you just are better than other people's? Service elements that you do that other people don't do. Like, I show up, I make sure my lock boxes actually have keys. You can be funny, depends on what your tone is. You can also say, for instance, I'm very, very, very engaged in digital marketing. Buying and selling and listing properties with me automatically gets you exposed to an audience of hundreds of thousands. That's another way to do it, like a unique selling proposition. And that's a marketing proposition. Okay, so if you have marketing propositions, money that you spend on marketing elements, that would go into the 2nd segment. Okay, another thing that you could do is, let's just say you don't have marketing propositions. Then what you're going to want to do is you want to go into service and details. And I'll tell you one of the things that you want to do inside every unique selling proposition that you're going to list. If you're unfamiliar with all the language I'm using, if it sounds super advanced to you, what you're really going to want to think of is try to lean into whatever your own objection about yourself is. So for instance, if you're brand new and you only have a license in 1 year, a great second descriptive segment would be, I'm a brand new realtor. That's selling against every resistance. You always list the objection first. And then you go, objection, solution. But because I am so new, I'm building my book of business. I'm currently open 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I will remain so for the first year or 2 of my business. You make a dramatic sales statement. I will be there for every element of the campaign, every element of your real estate transaction. I will work twice as hard, I guarantee it. Okay, and why would I do that? Question mark. Because your business absolutely means twice as much to me. Okay, so those are our examples of you selling against every objection and providing a unique sales profile for somebody to look at. Another thing is, I live in this city, and that would be if you don't know a lot of realtors who don't. That was covered by the intro statement in my example with Shelley. But the second profile is some unique selling propositions that are kind of technical. The first part could be story or mission. I have the mission of doing X in the real estate business in this area, so on and so forth. Now the third part is going to be very, very technical. Google says they want you to list things like the areas of the work and the services that you provided inside your description. Okay, but people are going to go crazy with that, thinking that the old logic of keyword stuff is true here. It's not. You need to mention the keyword once. So if you are going to list locations that you sell, which you should do in the third part, so, and this is who I am, this is what I do. These are the ways that I do it better than anybody else, or things that I offer that nobody else offers. And then last, this is where I do it. Okay, every single element of storytelling and marketing and selling needs to be broken out into who, what, when, why, and where. And if you've been a long time follower of my channel, I've talked about that plenty in other videos, so look them up. But what we want to do is we want to make sure we do briefly mention locations. Now, if you're a broker and you're watching this and you're wondering what you should do for your brokerage, what you're going to do is you're going to list counties, not cities. Okay, and then you're going to reference any other offices that you have inside your main office's description, and that's going to link very well into the description to the profiles that you create for those other satellite offices. All right, if you're a broker, you really should call me because I don't have enough time on this video to cover all the things that you should do on a Google business profile. Also, multi-location businesses are different, okay? But so mostly this is stuff that you talk to a team, a broker like who has a single office, or individual agents. All right. Now we get into another interesting thing, which is products and services. So products and services is weird for a real estate agent because you go, how does that apply to me? It's a dedicated section to list everything that you offer. Basically, though, what Google is saying is, that, and they literally say this in their description, this creates additional fields for Google to search against. So when you're looking up a profile, products and services, you need to make sure that you can fit in as many of these things as there are fields for. Now, I'm pretty sure that Google, once again, guides you here and gives you suggestions that work and ones that don't. So you need to get creative about all the things that you do in real estate to make sure you come up for all the searches that you want to do. For instance, you could try probate as a service and see if it comes up. You're already identified as a real estate agent. Probate doesn't really match any primary service definition that you would, but putting probate there will connect real estate and agent. Same thing with divorce, same thing with other things, and they might go, do you provide legal services? And it depends on how you've structured your real estate business about whether or not this makes sense. Like, you could have a relationship with a divorce lawyer who calls you into legal strategy meetings that relate to houses. So at that point, it would be legitimate for you to put something down on your profile that says, yes, I do provide legal services of a sort, because consulting is a legitimate service that can be listed here. So you have to kind of experiment with this section and figure out all the things that possibly might fit your business. But I gotta tell you, if you get creative and really think about it, this is why I'm always telling people that today's world is more like we're all service consultants. I'm a service consultant. You're a service consultant. Google wants you to provide as much information as possible, and that is reasonable. If you're a new agent, you obviously don't have that many services. If you're a 20-year veteran and you're, Green Pro, E-Pro, blah, 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 all certified, you have 20 frickin' certifications, you sat through all the classes, you have everything, you would get wildly creative about how you use the products and service sections on your Google business profile, because there's all sorts of things that would probably fit into one of the broad categoric areas that you're licensed in and that you've taken specialized training for. So add applicable attributes like Wi-Fi, outdoor seating, women-owned, or wheelchair accessible. So here's an interesting thing. If you're working at a brokerage that is a physical location, you want to go nuts with this. If you're working a brokerage scenario where you're a digital brokerage, you do not want to go nuts with this. Why? Because you're probably, very few of you will be hosting people at your house. You have to list your business address to have a hope in ranking. And I will explain that when we come to one of the sections that got left off here, which is basically distance. Okay? Because distance is one of those things that is primary in ranking factors. Primary. So distance from the person doing the search, which means that when you have no location, All Google has is the location of the IP address that corrected the profile, and I'm pretty sure that they are not legally allowed to use that information, so that technically they have no location on you, and they're not going to rank you for squat, trust me. So you have to decide on a location, and once you've decided that, you might really be uncomfortable with the fact you had to use your home address as a location, which by the way I do. So I understand entirely the dilemma and the pros and cons of doing it, okay? But I gotta tell you, it's giving me more benefit than cost. So when you are talking about, I don't know where I'm at here, like optimize for, okay, we're gonna move on. So services, you have to understand that this is gonna be targeted at highly specific searches. So somebody's gonna say, I want a real estate agent that has a wheelchair accessible office, things like that. And you have to put all of those things. Now, if you're in a location that you're going to have people visit, guess what? A driveway is wheelchair accessible. So honestly, most of the questions you can answer in the affirmative. And every once in a while, Google comes through and asks you to update your profile, especially if you've installed the Google Business as an app on your phone, which you want to do. And why do you want to do it? Because Google is always going to reward you for updating any and all of this information that we're talking about, including descriptions, photos, and 1,000 other things. But I'm going to get to that under SEO. Okay, but basically it always rewards you for updating anything on your profile. So you can even add some of these attributes slowly over time, which is what I do. I bleed them in every few months so that Google gets the feeling I'm updating my profile. Okay, it's simple. It's just you answer some questions. It's like, it's yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and I'm off. It's literally under 60 seconds. All right, so now, Google has changed the language. When we start talking about SEO, what Google has done is they've changed the language. They've changed how they're talking about this subject, which means most of you will not recognize the language that they're currently using, which is optimizing for prominence. Now that is a very fancy way of saying, how do you get us to rank you? Okay? That's what they're saying. They're telling you, this is how we will rank you. Okay, so all the things that I've said so far is just setting up the profile. Ranking. Now here's the things that you've already heard that I will confirm or deny. You will hear Google say, post a post to the Google profile. It is a ranking factor. As far as I can tell, it's like a 2 or 3% ranking factor, but it is a ranking factor. So it's not a huge ranking factor. It's just a ranking factor. Then they're going to say, encourage reviews. Now, that's the #1 ranking factor. It's the #1 ranking factor in large language models. I've been talking about it over and over again. Google knows how important it is. It's the #1 thing that they talk about for prominence. What they also talk about, and right underneath that, is they say, respond promptly. Now, that is not something I've heard, but it would make sense if perhaps it is a ranking factor. So once somebody does leave you a review, don't let it sit for months or years and don't respond. It is most likely a negative ranking factor to not respond to your own reviews. You want to respond in detail and you want to respond in depth. You want to do the who, what, when, why, where of the transaction. If the customer didn't give you that, if they said, Shelley's a great realtor, call her, you're going to respond with, Mary, it was great taking you through the Hidden Hills. I loved all of the 10 homes that we looked at, but the one that we found on Darren Drive that you fell in love with, I am so very glad that the kind family there was able to accept our offer if the client was close to us. I won't reveal the exact nature of the offer, but we did manage to save you 15% on the ask price. Lastly, it was great getting to know you, your kids, your husband, all your interesting careers and interests. It was a true joy serving you, and I look forward to being here if you ever have any additional questions or need in the real estate business. Everything I just did is not, it's like on a 1 to 10, that's an 8 in terms of response. You who, what, when, why, where, all the time. Google rewards you tremendously for doing that. You can have 5 reviews and somebody else can have 50, and if your 5 were the right kind of reviews, you'll outrank them. I've done it countless times. So you must, if there's one thing you're picking up, it is control the review process, make sure you ask for them, and then really, really dive deep when you respond to those reviews. All right, The other things that they're asking about is high quality photos and videos. Now, I have discovered that in terms of ranking durability, this is an important factor. So if you don't want to just rank for a day, a week, or a month, or you don't want to lose your ranking every 5 seconds, what you're going to do is you are going to make a profile that's super sticky. Now, Google has a lot of different fancy ways of saying all this. I'm going to make it more simple for all of you. I've discovered through countless years of doing this and my knowledge of the fact that they're using some of the same signals that they were using when Google Plus was around and numerous other things I've talked about over the years, I know for a fact that they're using user behavior signals as one of their main ranking factors. Now that is where people are clicking on stuff, stopping at stuff, hovering over stuff, and engaging with your profile. Put simply. So the more detail, the more interesting the information, the prettier the pictures, the prettier the video, the more likely it is that not only you'll rank today, but you'll rank tomorrow and in the months and years to follow. So photos and images, I agree, super important. Now here's where people really fail. And this is probably one of the only parts of the process that you can legitimately manipulate because it's on their own information. That's in the frequently asked questions. This is a weird additional element. And Google always throws in these extra credit things. And the amount of people that do the extra credit work is less than 1%, I think. So number one, they really pay attention and definitely use it as a ranking factor when you do the extra work. Number two, if you want to get ranked not only for a lot of different searches, but also you want to get ranked for a greater amount of distance, because what Google does is optimizing for relevance. Let's just say optimizing for prominence. One of the things that we mentioned in brief was distance. The way that Google operates these profiles is the more prominent signals that you have on your profile, the greater the distances that they give you from ranking via a cell phone. That's the cell phone, that's the location of the cell phone that does the search. This is the only kind of marketing where legitimately you can get in front of brand new people based on where and how they're driving places and where they're walking from. Okay, like they can wander into the 40-mile radius that you rank in and see your name for the first time, even though they've done searches on AI and the primary Google stuff and never found your name. And then they find you when they move into a location that your Google business profile is ranking for. So this is a really interesting backdoor way to get in front of people. Unfortunately, though, it's very precise. The latitude and longitude of your location is uploaded to a Google satellite. Google is measuring prominence in a very mathematical way that has to do with all these signals combined. They are looking at, when it comes to distance to location, there is the part of like YouTube optimization that you hear a lot about. And what is that? That's where people like me talk to you about nap consistency and naps, okay? This starts to be where, like, there's all sorts of strategies that you can follow with naps. Now, to have a really good nap, which is name, address, and phone number. And to have a really, really super good strategy, you actually need a dedicated person working on your account. There's no other way around it. Yext, Easy Local, all these other services that are selling to you as a boxed package, $1,000, we'll set you up. All they're doing is they're all doing the same thing. They're sending your name to a data aggregator who puts you in 50 different directories and they move on to the next one. Well, guess what? Name, address, and phone number is really relevant based on location of the directories. There's some national directories that are so relevant that anybody can get in them and have it be good for their business. There's other directories that are smaller and local to you that might be other business owners that maintain a list of local service businesses, but they happen to have a very old website with a high domain authority, so Google takes what they say as seriously as they take, let's say, Facebook. And that person might be 20 miles away from you, and if they happen to reference service areas, and you happen to reference service areas that are larger, now Google believes that they are hearing from an authoritative source that you service a 30 to 60 mile square area. As we move campaigns from a realtor's home city, such as Sugar Land, Texas, we eventually arrive at county searches, Fort Bend County in the case of this client. And why do we arrive at counties? Well, it's a 60-mile square county, and we are almost to the edges of it at this point. We rank for almost the whole county. That, like my office, my main office, the place I'm recording this video is Van Nuys, California. I currently rank 80 miles away from this location. Now, sadly for me, Van Nuys isn't exactly the center of real estate marketing searches. And as it turns out, Los Angeles property, which I now rank in, is also not the center of real estate marketing searches. Who knows if they exist? I probably have to get out past into Ventura County or out past into San Bernardino County. Will I ever get there? Maybe, because every year my reach, my dominance expands by about 5 to 10 miles square. That's where this kind of marketing, and listening to this video and watching all this stuff becomes very, very important. So optimizing for distance, and also, I'm going back to their language, optimizing for prominence are the long-term game. They're the SEO. Okay, and they definitely have to be managed. So it's not as easy as the rest of this stuff. You've got to do the distance, and then there's other things that they ask you to do too in terms of prominence. Prominence is also photos, Q&As, which I already covered, NAP consistency, keep accurate hours and special hours. This is one of the things they text you on and ask you to update. Even if you answered the same question for once a year, every year for 7 straight years, answer it again. And then the other thing is set service area. Now, obviously, as a realtor, your inclination when you first get into this is to set a service area that's everywhere you've ever driven in your entire life as a professional service salesperson. And let me tell you, that's a mistake. You want to start and change your service hours over time. So what you want to do is you want to start with your direct location. If you were me and had all the skills in the world, within 30 days you could rank about 2 miles away from your office. That's it. Okay, so if you say, I'm Fort Bend County, whatever, 80 miles square, it's crazy. I started off with Van Nuys. My YouTube profile still says about InboundREM in Van Nuys or something like that. And then I moved on to Los Angeles. Okay, I moved on broader, bigger, over time, Los Angeles County. And it took me about 2 years to get there, but I did it. And now that's how I did the 80 miles thing. And honestly, I should be ranking nationwide. And I haven't figured out that trick yet, but I'll get there. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this has been a tutorial on how to optimize your Google Business Profile from start to finish, everything you need to do, how to set it up, how to gain prominence, how to keep marketing yourself over time. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you the next time.